The sky was red, like fire spread across the clouds. Wind moved through the dark trees, carrying a strange silence. In the middle of the forest, two shapes ran, one tall, one small. The tall one was not human. Her skin was silver blue, her eyes dark and wide. Her long hands held the smaller one close, a child, also not human, but small and afraid. They were running fast. The sound of footsteps followed behind. Suddenly, there was a sharp noise. Whiz! An arrow flew through the air. It hit the tall woman in the back. She gasped. Her body shook, but she did not fall. She turned and wrapped her arms around the little girl, using her body like a shield. A second arrow came, hit her side. This time, she dropped to her knees. The girl cried loudly, "Mother!" The woman fell to the ground, holding her daughter even as her eyes started to close. Far away, a soldier heard the sound. His name was Mason, a human. Rough voice, tired eyes. He was on patrol, walking carefully with his rifle in hand. He stopped. That sound, a child's cry? "Command," he said into his radio. "I heard something. I'm checking it out." "Stay with your team," the voice replied. But he didn't listen. Something felt wrong. He walked alone into the deeper part of the forest. The trees were thick here, their branches like black bones. Then he saw them, a large alien female on the ground, bleeding badly. A small alien girl beside her, shaking with fear. Mason raised his rifle. His orders were clear. No survivors. The little girl looked up at him. Her big eyes were wet with tears. She didn't move. She didn't run. She just stared. His finger was on the trigger. Then he saw it. The alien woman had used her body to protect the child. Even with arrows in her back, she had not let go. Paused. He looked at the blood, the child's face, the fear, the silence. He lowered his rifle. Slowly, he walked closer. The girl backed away, afraid. She held her mother's hand tightly. Mason knelt down. "I'm not gonna hurt you," he said. Softly, he took off his helmet, showing his face. "See, I'm not your enemy." The girl didn't answer. But she didn't run. He looked at the woman. Her breathing was slow, her eyes half open. She was dying. "Hang on," Mason whispered. "I can help." He opened his pack and took out a medical spray. Human medicine, but it might work. He sprayed it on her wounds. The woman winced but didn't stop him. Her voice was soft, broken. "Why? Help us?" Mason didn't answer right away. He looked at the girl. "She's just a kid," he said. "And you protected her. That's what a mother does. Doesn't matter what planet you're from." He picked the woman up. She was heavy, but he carried her in both arms. The girl followed, holding Mason's jacket. They moved quickly through the trees. Mason knew he was breaking every rule. Helping an alien? That meant prison. Or worse. But he couldn't leave them behind. After some time, he found a small cave hidden behind rocks. He placed the woman down gently, covering the entrance with branches. Inside the cave, it was cold and dark. He lit a small light. The girl sat next to her mother, holding her hand. "What's your name?" Mason asked. The girl looked at him. Her voice was quiet. "Lena. Nice to meet you, Lena. I'm Mason." She didn't smile, but she nodded. Mason looked at the mother. "What happened to you?" he asked. No answer. But Lena spoke. "They shot her because she knows something. They want her gone." "Who?" Mason asked. Lena's eyes filled with fear. "Everyone." Mason felt a chill run down his back. Suddenly, something outside made a sound. A branch broke. A leaf crunched. He turned off the light. Took his rifle. "Stay quiet," he whispered. He moved slowly to the cave entrance. Looked out. Nothing. But something was watching. He could feel it. He looked back at Lena and her mother. "I'll keep you safe," he promised. But deep down, he knew they were not just running from war. They were running from a secret, and that secret just found them. Asteriska. Drop of blood slid from her finger and hit the cold cave floor. It made no sound, but Mason heard it. He had been sitting at the entrance all night, rifle across his lap, eyes fixed on the shadows. The storm outside had passed. But the real danger was just beginning. Behind him, the alien mother, still weak, still silent, lay on a blanket of Mason's coat. Her daughter, Lena, had not slept. She just sat close, holding her hand. Afraid to blink. Suddenly, the mother opened her eyes. She stared at the cave ceiling, not moving. Her face was pale, skin dull. The wounds were deep. Mason turned and spoke. Quietly, "You're safe for now." No one followed. The mother sat up slowly, breathing hard. Then, without warning, she reached for a sharp stone nearby. Mason's reflexes were fast. He pointed his rifle at her. "Don't," he said firmly. The mother raised the stone, but not to throw it. She pressed it to her own wound. Her hand was shaking. "She thinks you're going to kill us," Lena said softly. "She doesn't trust you." Mason lowered his rifle slowly. "She's not wrong to be scared," he said. "I wouldn't trust me either." The mother's voice came, dry and cracked. "Then, why help us?" Mason looked her in the eyes. "Because everyone else wants you dead. I want to know why." The mother didn't answer, but her eyes, they said more than words. Lena looked between them. Then she whispered, "My mother was a scientist, a smart one. She found something, a secret. That's why they're hunting us." Mason frowned. "What kind of secret?" Before anyone could answer, a sharp sound echoed outside like metal tapping on rock. Mason jumped to his feet and ran to the cave entrance. Tension rises. He scanned the trees, nothing. Then he saw it, a red blinking light on a tree trunk. Small, nearly invisible, a drone sensor. "They found us," Mason whispered. He turned back inside. "We move, now." Lena helped her mother stand. She was too weak to walk. Mason picked her up again, holding her close to his chest. Branches broke above them. The sound of wings, drones. "We need to go deeper into the forest," Mason said. "Follow me." They ran, careful but fast. The sun was rising, painting the forest gold, but it brought no warmth. Only danger. As they moved, Mason spoke quietly to Lena. "You said they're hunting you because of a secret." "What secret?" Lena looked away. "I don't know everything. But my mother said, the war is a lie." Mason stopped walking. "What do you mean?" She said the war started because of something fake. Like a trap, a setup. She tried to tell the others, but no one believed her. Then they tried to kill us. Mason's mind raced. Could it be true? New direction, the old station. They reached an old broken structure hidden under vines. It looked like a human outpost abandoned long ago. Mason scanned the area. No movement. "We'll hide here," he said. Inside, the place smelled of rust and dirt. Old screens and wires covered the walls. It was dead but quiet. He laid the mother down on a metal bench. She closed her eyes, exhausted. Lena touched a broken console. "What is this place?" "An old scout station. We used it during the early war. No one comes here now." Suddenly, one of the old screens blinked. Mason stepped back. "That's not possible." A face appeared on the screen. It was alien but wearing a human uniform. The voice spoke. "Operation Ember phase complete. Subject eliminated. Secret secured." Mason stared. What the hell is this? The mother opened her eyes weakly. "It's the proof." And reveal. Twist. Mason's face turned cold. This was all planned. The humans and aliens. Both sides are hiding something. The mother nodded. They both want the war. They need it. But if people learn the truth, suddenly boom, A sharp blast shook the station. Dust fell from the ceiling. The wall behind them cracked. Explosives, Mason said. They're trying to bury us. Alive, he grabbed the girl and the mother. Time to go. This place is not safe anymore. As they escaped through a back tunnel, Mason had one thought. I'm not just protecting them now. I'm part of this, and I need to know the truth. The stars were falling. Bright blue lights dropped from the sky, burning as they came. Screams echoed across a silver city. A child ran through the smoke. She was crying, calling for her mother. Then the ground cracked, from the shadows metal. Hands reached out and pulled the child into darkness. The dream ended with a voice. You were never meant to survive. Lena woke up gasping, her small hands gripping her mother's arm. Her mother, weak and still healing, looked at her with soft, tired eyes. It's just a dream. But Lena shook her head. It's not. I saw the place again. I saw the machines. Mason stood by the door of the abandoned building, watching them silently. He hadn't slept. Not after what he saw on that broken screen. An alien commander in a human uniform, declaring the subject eliminated. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to care. But now, he had to know the truth. Next scene, Mason's decision. Tell me everything, Mason said, staring at the alien mother. She took a slow breath. I was a scientist. I worked on a project we were told would save our people, but I found out we were being lied to. We weren't creating peace. We were building weapons, not for war, but for control. Control over who? Mason asked. Everyone. She replied, your people, my people, anyone who resists. Mason frowned. The war was started just to test weapons? She looked up at him. To test control. To see how far we'd go to obey without question. Lena quietly added, when my mother tried to tell the truth, they sent hunters. They called us traitors. Mason looked down at his weapon. For years he thought he was fighting to protect his home. But what if he was helping monsters? Discovery, a lost ship. Later that day, they walked deeper into the forest. Lena led them, walking slowly with her hand on her mother's arm. It's close. I remember this place. They stopped at a steep hill covered in moss. Behind the vines, half buried in the earth, was a piece of metal. Mason pulled the vines away. Beneath them was the broken hull of a crashed alien scout ship. Here, the mother whispered. This is where I sent the data before we ran. Inside the wreck, it was dark and cold, but a small control panel still glowed. Faintly like a heartbeat. She touched it with trembling fingers. A blue hologram lit the air. Mason stepped back. He saw footage, alien generals, speaking with human officers. Together, smiling. When the war begins, we'll move the test subjects in waves. And if the soldiers find out? They won't. Fear keeps them blind. Mason clenched his jaw. So we were all just pieces on their board. The mother looked at him. That's why they want me dead. Not because I'm dangerous, but because I know. Tension returns. The sound of metal wings. Just then, a sharp sound echoed. Outside, click, buzz, whir. Mason looked out the ship window. Drones, at least 3 of them. Flying low, scanning. They followed us, he said. We have to move. Now he grabbed the data core from the console. It was small, like a black glass cube. This thing, it's proof. The mother nodded. Then I'm not letting it go. Escape forest burning around them. They ran. Mason led the way. The cube in one hand, his rifle in the other. Behind him, the mother moved slowly, her steps shaky. Lena held her tightly. Lasers burned through trees. Drones fired blindly, cutting through the forest. Everything smelled like smoke and ash. Mason turned and shot one drone mid-air. It sparked and fell, screaming like metal birds. They reached an old transport tunnel, buried long ago when the first bombings happened. This way. Mason shouted. They jumped inside just as the last drone passed overhead. Inside, it was dark, damp, and silent. For now, they were safe. Ending moment trust is tested. Mason turned to the alien mother. You have proof, but how do we use it? Who do we trust? She looked tired, but clear. There's someone, she said. An old contact. A human scientist. He believed me once. If he's still alive, he'll help. Mason looked at the cube in his hand. This better be worth it, he muttered. Lena spoke softly. It is. Mason looked at the child, small, scared, but strong, and he knew. This wasn't just about truth anymore, It was about protecting the only people who still believed in it. Asterisk. The cube made no sound. It just floated in the air, turning slowly, its surface glowing with soft blue lines, like veins full of light. Mason stared at it, standing in the old tunnel. He had seen war. He had seen death. But this was something else. Inside this quiet little object was the power to burn down the lies of two civilizations. He whispered, more to himself than anyone else, if this is real, the war's not just wrong, it's murder. The alien mother stood beside him, weak but steady. It is real, she said. And it's only the beginning. Flashback inserted as video footage from the cube. The cube projected another hologram. This time, it wasn't generals or war maps. It was humans and aliens together. In a hidden lab, one screen showed a child, alien, scared, surrounded by wires. Another showed a human soldier in a pod, eyes wide, unable to speak, being tested like an animal. A voice spoke. Fear makes them follow. Unity makes them dangerous. So keep them apart. Give them enemies, then laughter. Cold, echoing, Mason turned away. This is what we were protecting? The mother looked at him. No, this is what we must destroy. Next scene, reaching out for help. They found an abandoned comm station in the tunnel system. Barely working, but maybe just enough. Mother helped Mason connect the cube to the signal hub. If we upload this, he said, everyone will see it? She nodded. Every device, every screen, human and alien. Lena tugged at Mason's arm. What if they see it and still want to fight? Mason looked at her gently. Then at least they'll be fighting with the truth. He typed in the upload command, but the signal died. No, he muttered. They're jamming us. A voice came from behind. Because they knew you'd try this. Twist, betrayal from a friend. Mason turned, gun raised. From the shadows, a man stepped out, human, rough face, military jacket, scar under his eye. Captain Halle. Mason knew him, fought beside him. Halle, what are you doing here? I should ask you the same, Halle replied, stepping closer. You were a good soldier, Mason. Loyal, quiet. What happened? Mason kept the cube behind his back. I found out the truth. So did I, Halle said coldly, and I chose the winning side. He looked at the alien mother. You should have let her die. Would have been easier. Then he raised his weapon. Lena screamed. Mason shot first. Chase scene, escape through fire and tunnels. The bullet hit Hale's shoulder. He dropped his gun, growling in pain. Run! Mason shouted. They took off through the tunnel. Mason dragging the mother, Lena close behind. Explosions shook the walls. Halle had backup. Drones filled the air again. Smoke poured in as a fire started from the blast. Mason coughed. There's a way out. Up top, they climbed a broken stairwell, step by step. Each floor crumbling. Lena almost slipped. Mason grabbed her just in time. They burst out into the daylight. Dirty, bloody, and alive. But they had one chance left to send the proof. Final move, one last transmission. At the top of a hill stood an old satellite dish. Broken, but not dead. Mason set the cube on the dish's core. Come on, work. The screen blinked. The signal bar rose. Connected. Mason hit send. The cube glowed. then burst into light, projecting images into the sky like a ghost. Footage spread like wildfire across both worlds. Soldiers on battlefields stopped firing. Mothers at home dropped their food trays. Staring at the screens. Command centers went dark. Everything was still. The truth had escaped. Ending moment, a choice to make. Back on the hill, the alien mother sat on the ground, exhausted. Lena leaned on her. Mason stood, watching the sky. It's done. But the mother shook her head. No, now they must choose. Truth is not enough. People must care. Mason looked down at her, then at the girl. Then let's help them remember why they should. Behind them, a group of human soldiers appeared. They aimed their weapons, but didn't fire. One of them lowered his rifle first. Then another, one by one, they dropped their weapons. And for the first time in a long time, no one pulled the trigger. Lena stood still while the wind pulled at her hair. In front of her, the sky was full of screens. The truth, her mother's truth, was everywhere now, in the clouds, on walls, on helmets. It played over and over. Children on both sides saw it. Soldiers saw it. Some cried. Some turned away. Others turned angry. But Lena didn't cry. Not anymore. She just held her mother's hand. As her mother bled into the grass, flashback to a few hours earlier, after the truth is sent. The transmission had worked. The cube had spread the secret across both worlds. But truth has a cost. The ones in power wouldn't give up quietly. A missile had hit the hilltop just minutes after the message went live. Mason had thrown his body over Lena to protect her. The alien mother had taken a hit to the side, again. Now, Mason was dragging both of them to safety through a burned-out highway, long cracked and overgrown. We need shelter, he said, breathless. We need time. But time was no longer. Their friend, seen hiding in a ruined school, they found a ruined human school, half buried under vines. The roof was broken. The floor full of dust and memories. Lena walked through the halls. She touched broken chairs, cracked books, a faded chalkboard. She didn't understand the words. But she understood something else. This place had been safe once. Now, safety was a ghost. Dialogue mother and daughter. Her mother lay down slowly against a wall, holding her wound. Blood stained her fingers again. Mason tried to stop the bleeding. He was tired, angry, scared. Lena sat beside her. The mother whispered, "If something happens to me, you must keep going." "No," Lena said. "Yes," her mother replied. "Run if you must. Hide. Speak if you can. But never let the truth die." Lena bit her lip. Then nodded. Enemy approaches. Suspense builds. Mason stepped outside, checking the perimeter. The skies were quiet, too quiet. Then he heard it. Buzz. BUZZ. WHIRR. Drones. He rushed back in. "We've been tracked. We need to move, now." The mother tried to stand, but her legs gave out. She looked up at Mason. "Take her," she whispered. "Save her." "No," Mason said. "We stay together." "You don't have time to argue," she hissed. "You know what they'll do to her." Lena hugged her tightly. "I'm not leaving." "You are," the mother said, "because you are stronger than me." Then she looked at Mason, not as an alien, but as a soldier. "Promise me you'll protect her." Mason hesitated, then nodded once. "I swear it." Escape Lena on the run. Mason grabbed Lena's hand. "Stay quiet. Stay close. Don't look back." They slipped through a broken window and into the trees behind the school. Lena turned her head just once. Her mother gave her a final look. No tears. No fear, only pride. Then the trees swallowed them. Behind them, the drones came, and the sound of fire followed. Emotional turn. Mason and Lena alone. They ran for hours through the woods. No food, no water. Just shadows and silence. When they finally stopped, Lena dropped to the ground, breathing hard. Mason sat beside her. I lost people too, he said. Long ago. That's why I became a soldier, to protect others. He looked at her gently. But protecting you, that's different. Why? She asked. Because you're not just a life, he said. You're the reason life should be better. New plan, the last friend. Mason pulled out a small metal card. This will take us to someone who might help, a scientist. Your mother's. Old contact. Lena wiped her eyes. Do you trust him? No, Mason said, but I trust what your mother believed. And she trusted him. Lena stood slowly. Her voice was quiet, but strong. Then let's finish what she started. Ending scene. Build up to climax as night fell. The world changed. Cities erupted in chaos. Protests, fire, people demanding answers, generals issuing warnings, soldiers refusing orders. Some called the aliens monsters. Others called humans the real monsters. Lines blurred. Loyalties broke. And in the middle of it all, a young alien girl, running through a broken world, carrying a truth no one could erase. Not anymore. Lena saw fire again, not real fire. Not this time. It was a memory, deep in her mind. A fire glowing under glass. A lab, cold and silent. She was small, hiding in a corner. Her mother stood between her and the men in black suits. Their eyes were like machines. Their hands held needles dotting through the glass. She saw fire burning in tubes. Fire that didn't warm. Fire that hurt. She blinked, and the memory was gone. But the fear stayed. Back to present underground entry. Mason pushed open a rusted gate, revealing a dark hole in the ground. An old mining tunnel. Forgotten, dead, but not empty. We stay quiet in here, he said. The walls listen. Lena followed him down the stairs. Each step echoed. The smell was thick, metal, dust, and something else. Burnt. Far below. Red lights blinked in the shadows. Old systems still working. Barely. This place used to be a testing zone, Mason explained. Before they started using real cities. Lena didn't ask what that meant. She didn't need to. Deeper into the dark, secrets beneath. The tunnel stretched for miles. Pipes above, cracks below, wires hanging like spider webs. They found a small room with working power. Mason lit a screen. Old files flickered open. Data logs. Names. Images. Lena stared at one image. A map of camps. Those are people? She asked. Mason nodded slowly. Prisoners. Taken from both sides. Used for trials. For weapons. For obedience. Lena said nothing. She just reached for a folder and held it to her chest. Mason turned to her. You know what this means, right? She nodded. It means we're not just running now. We're coming back. Tension returns. Betrayal in the dark. Suddenly, a sound. Clang, clink. Voices. Mason pulled Lena into a vent space. Lights flickered. Footsteps grew louder. Two men entered the room. Both human. One of them held a scanner. It beeped. They were here, one said. He still has the cube's echo signal. Command wants the girl alive. The soldier, optional. Lena covered her mouth. Mason gripped his weapon, but before he could move, the vent above them gave a loud creak. Snap, it broke open. Lena fell, hard. The soldiers turned fast. There she is. Mason dropped in behind her and fired. One shot, then two. One soldier fell. The other ran. We need to go, Mason said, grabbing Lena. They know where we are. Escape collapse begins. As they ran through the lower levels, explosions shook the tunnel. The enemy was sealing exits. They're going to trap us in here, Mason shouted, or bury us alive. They reached a large, central chamber. Once a lab, now a ruined. In the center was a cracked core reactor, flickering with unstable red light. If that blows, Mason said, this whole place goes down. More footsteps above, voices echoing. They were surrounded. Mason turned to Lena. We can't both run different ways. And I'm not leaving you. Lena looked at the reactor. And then at Mason. Her eyes hardened. Braver now. Like her mother, I'll distract them, she said. What? You said I'm the reason life should be better. Let me prove it. Mason grabbed her shoulder. No, you're just a kid. Lena shook her head. I'm the truth. Final. Escape sequence. Fire and choices. A loudspeaker turned on. A voice echoed through the tunnel. Mason, you are protecting a war criminal. Surrender the girl. Walk away. Mason stared at the walls, then looked at Lena. I'm not walking. Away from anything. He placed a charge near the old reactor core. A small blast, enough to collapse this tunnel section and block pursuit. Then they ran. Behind them, the world cracked. Fire surged upward. Stone fell, but in the end, they made it out. Smoke in. Their lungs. Blood on their hands, but alive. Ending moment, quiet after chaos. Above ground, the world looked different. Sky full of ash. People watching screens. Soldiers refusing orders. Cities splitting between hope and hate. The truth had changed everything. But the fight wasn't over. Mason stood beside Lena. You saved us in there, he said. Lena didn't smile. She looked toward the horizon and whispered, we're not finished yet. Now we make them listen. The screen lit up with static. Then, slowly, her face appeared. The alien mother, pale, calm, eyes full of fire. She wasn't speaking to a camera. She was speaking to the world. If you're hearing this, I am gone. But the truth is not. The truth is alive in every child who was told to stay quiet, in every soldier who was forced to obey, in every mother who gave everything to protect her child. Mason stood in a quiet room, watching her final message. Lena stood beside him. Tears ran down her face, but her back was straight. She wasn't broken. She was ready. Flashback, moments before her death. The memory still hurt. They had almost escaped together, but her mother had stayed behind. Again, this time for good. To give Mason and Lena time to get out. To stop the soldiers. To make sure the cube made it to the surface. She knew the truth. Had to live longer than she could. Seen new city, new world. It had been 1 week. The war hadn't ended, but it had paused. Commanders on both sides were silent. Protests filled the streets. People questioned everything. Soldiers dropped weapons and walked away. The truth had cracked the wall. And now it was time to tear it down. Lena's moment speaking to the world. In a large open hall. Cameras waited. Not for a general. Not for a president. For a girl. Lena stood in front of the podium. Just a child with silver blue skin and wide, quiet eyes. But when she spoke, the whole world listened. I am not here to fight you. I am not here to scare you. I am here because someone loved me enough to die. For what was right. My mother was hunted for telling the truth. But the truth is not dangerous. Lies are. We don't need to be the same to care about each other. We just need to stop obeying hate. If we can't live together, then we will all fall together. Silence followed. And then applause. Not loud. Not wild. But real. And slowly it grew. Mason's closure, returning the past. Later, Mason visited the ruins of the forest where it all began. He stood in front of a small marker, a memory stone. He placed her broken shield on it, the one she had used to protect Lena. She was stronger than any of us. He whispered. Then he left something else behind, his military badge. Because that war, the old war, wasn't his anymore. Ending scene, a future begins. In a peaceful zone. Between alien and human cities. A new building was being built. Not a lab. Not a base. A school. Its name was simple. The Lena Project. Children from both worlds would learn there. Together. No weapons. No flags. Just books, stories. And Truth. Mason watched from a distance. Lena stood at the gate, a small group of students gathering around her. She turned and waved at him. He smiled. For the first time in years, he actually smiled.